There is also didn't read. But there's a law and council that want to raise up. Homelessness. Has been included, like the grant, whatever. Whatever it's for.
Oh. Good. Everything's okay, Dan? Ready to go? Okay. Okay. Welcome, everyone, to the fifth session of council this February 27th. In-person meetings have resumed with a hybrid format option. There are council members and public that still can join electronically via Zoom. The meeting is being live streamed and recorded and will be available on the township website. All rules apply to the meeting as if everyone was attending in person, and if there's a problem with the technology impacting the proceedings of a meeting, the meeting may be recessed at the direction of the mayor to confirm that the electronic format is performing effectively before proceeding further with the agenda. In the event of connection or service disruption to those attending electronically, the mayor may recess the meeting to allow for attempts to reconnect. So we call this meeting to order at 7:01 and note that there was no closed session before this meeting. And would everyone rise for the playing of the national anthem? Please be seated. We acknowledge that we are being hosted on ancestral lands of the Haudenosaunee, Mississauga, and Omamimini peoples. We acknowledge and welcome the presence of all Indigenous peoples, including the Métis, Inuit, and First Nations from across this vast land, who also make this place home. The lands we are on today are recognized in the Two-Row Wampum, Dish with One Spoon Treaty, Treaty 27, and the Crawford Purchase. So at this time, we're in the open forum session, where the first 15 minutes of the regular council meeting will be set aside for open forum. Any individual can address council to voice opinion on subjects of municipal concern, excluding matters subject to public meeting, i.e. under the Planning Act. They can only speak once and for no more than 3 minutes. Notice is hereby provided that under the authority of the Municipal Act 2001 and in accordance with Ontario's Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act, that all information provided for or at a public meeting, consultation, or other public process are considered part of the public record. In-person meetings have resumed, as we said, with a hybrid format option where individuals can join electronically. Anyone wishing to speak at the council meeting can register in advance with the clerk or use a raised hand option within the virtual audience. So we have one pre-registered speaker, Keith Ritchie. You could come forward, please. We've got a little different setup we're testing tonight. If you'd just like to take a seat, provide me with your name and address, and then please provide us with the information that you have. You can see on the screen there is a countdown on the computer. It just helps you know it changes colors, yellow and then red, so that you can gauge your speaking so that for the 3 minutes.
Okay.
So please proceed.
My name is Keith Ritchie. I live at 4952 Bath Road. And I mean, that's one of the concerns, I guess. What do you call it? Bath Road, Spoilers Parkway, or Highway 33. And sometimes if you're on Google Maps, it doesn't show up at all. So anyway, it's something that I guess we should settle on one. My question, because we are relatively new residents to the area, we are currently on septic and water from the lake. Would like to know what the plans are to extend out to us the sewer and water and even natural gas. It seems to be close in the area just down the road from us, and especially with the new subdivision coming, that it seems like an opportune time to extend that out to us. So the question is, what are the plans and when?
Excuse me. And typically, you're new to the area, you mentioned. Typically, this part of the meeting, there's no discussion back and forth. We just receive the information. However, saying that, we've received the information and we will, if you could speak to call into the township office and ask for the clerk and provide your phone number, staff members will get back to you with that.
You have my phone number on that sheet.
It's right here.
All
Perfect. So a staff member will talk to you then.
right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. That's the only one we have this evening for open forum in the audience, in the chambers. I would ask the virtual audience, if anyone wishes to speak to council through the open forum, please use the raise hand feature and we will bring you into the meeting. None? Seeing none, we'll move forward. A public meeting is being held to receive comments and input from the public on the 2023 draft municipal budget. And further, council is providing notice that it intends to adopt the 2023 budget on Monday, March 13th, 2023 at 7 p.m. The Committee of the Whole budget meetings were held on February 6th and February 9th, 2023. The meetings were open to the public and records of the meetings are available to view on the council portal. So at this time, is there anyone that wishes to speak in the open forum, which is in the chambers? Seeing none. Did Mr. Renier, did you wish to present?
What do you call it, a presentation, but I'll speak.
Please share anyway.
Through you, your worship. Yeah, so as you mentioned, the presentations from the Committee of the Whole meetings on the 6th and 9th are available on the website. I would encourage anyone from the public who has not yet had a chance and maybe is seeing this for the first time, please go to the website and view those presentations. All budget documentation, including the binder, are there for their knowledge. I'm not going to give a formal presentation, but I'll just go through the highlights again in case someone is seeing this for the first time. So what was presented at Committee of the Whole was a $19.6 million general levy requirement, and that requires a 1.6% township residential rate increase. There was a 1.1 million Amherst Transit budget, and there is no proposed change to the Amherst rate. There's a $5 million Amherst Island Ferry budget, a $12.3 million utilities operating budget, and in terms of capital, there was a $9 million general rate capital and a $4.7 million utilities capital. So at this time, the other thing I did want to bring up tonight is there were questions around the county rate and the possibility of that and what impact that would have on us from an overall budget point of view. It is my understanding that the county has accepted a proposed budget. They haven't adopted it yet, but the final number I was provided is 4.8%. So when you combine that with our 1.6% and a zero flat education, that would result in an overall residential rate increase of 2.6% for residents of Loyalist Township. So what that means from a median household assessment value of $260,000 would be an overall tax bill of $4,010, about $2,145 of which is the township portion, which is about 53%. 1,467 or 37% would be the county, and just under $400 goes to education. So we have seen some comments online through our social media posts asking questions about the breakdown of the tax bill between the county and the township portion. So hopefully that helps to understand that as well. In saying that, between tonight and March 13th, we will accept any further comments from the public. We do encourage those to be submitted, and those will be included with the report on the 13th for council when they do adopt the budget. And then nothing further than that.
Thank you. Excuse me. Council, any questions for staff? For the treasurer?
I just have one through you.
That's perfect.
To Phil, just the number you just gave us, do you have a dollar value on how much is, as opposed to percentage?
Yes, through you, your worship. So overall, for the overall, on the average assessment of 260,000, it'd be $4,010 would be the overall tax bill. That includes the township, the education, and the county portion. So based over last year, that's $102 increase overall from 2022. And I would say out of that $102 increase, $34 of that is the township portion, and $68 of that relates to the county portion.
Thank you.
Council, any other questions? I will very quickly. Typically, we have an insert in the final tax bill when it goes out, which has the breakdowns. I'm assuming that would be in this one as well this year.
Yes, through your worship. So the final tax bill typically goes out at the beginning of June, and that will have a very detailed budget insert. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. There's no further questions. Treasurer. I will just turn it back to the audience one more time, since we didn't have that information when I called the first time. If there's anyone in the meeting, in the chambers, which wishes to speak to the public meeting, please come forward. Seeing none. Yes. Yes, if you'd like to come back up, you can speak in this portion regarding the tax.
Yes.
Yes.
As you are aware of my address, I'm probably one of the highest tax houses in the whole of Loyalist Township. But we don't receive anything except garbage collection, which we pay for. So I just listened now to increases that are coming my way. And for what? And what can I look forward to? I mean, I have no water from the city, I have no sewage from the city, I have no gas line that's from the city. You plow my road, yes, you do. You give me a ditch out in front of my house that I have can barely maintain because it's so deep and yet I'm going to pay more taxes on top of my gazillion that I'm already paying.
Now,
Thank you.
just to respond to one of the other points you made, the water and sewer, if you're not hooked up to it, then that's not an increase on your tax bill. The only people that pay for water and sewer are the users of the water and sewer. And of course, natural gas would be from another private company. We do not have our own PUC, and so it doesn't come through the township at all. So yes, all the other services are available. Recycle, garbage, snow plowing, all of the regular ones, plus the use of the amenities in the township as well. The rec centers, we've got pickleball courts and everything else as well. So that's all lumped into the overall tax bill, and all of that is available for that one single price.
I can only say that it's just not fair.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Just going to hit the record. It's not that we're not recording, but just do it through Zoom. So just so it's going to announce it.
Yeah.
No, we don't have to start it again.
Okay. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak to the open public meeting? Seeing none, I'll call in the virtual audience. Is there anyone in the virtual audience that wishes to speak tonight regarding the 2023 draft municipal budget?
Only one in attendance and your hand is not raised.
Seeing none, we'll proceed. And I just want to confirm with the clerk, do we need to accept? We need to accept those the comments. Thank you. Council, could I have a motion to receive the comments in the public session? Moved by Counselor Willis, seconded by Counselor Pronner. Any comments? Seeing none, call the question. All those in favor, please raise a hand. Motion is passed. Confirmation of agenda. Any modifications to the agenda this evening? Seeing none, could I have a motion to adopt? Deputy Mayor, so moved, seconded by Counselor Ennis. Call the question, all in favor, please raise a hand. Motion is passed. Declaration of pecuniary interest. Any members have a declaration to declare this evening? Seeing none. Delegations and presentations. Originally, we were Inspector Togel was planning on attending, but is unable this evening. So we have Staff Sergeant Krista McNaughton that will be attending in his place. Welcome.
Thank you. So I was asked to speak in regards to two issues that were brought to our attention, one being a speeding complaint on Spears Boulevard. This is something that I would say we've been informed of for several years now. We had the speed spies set up on Spears Boulevard in 2017, 2018. I have that information here. The information I was provided this afternoon when I was asked to come to the meeting was from 2022. In each of those studies done with the speed spy set up, the 85th percentile, which is 85% of the population traveling on Spears Boulevard in 2017 was around 2018, the speed southbound was 57 kilometers an hour. That's the 85th percentile. So 85% of the population traveling southbound on Spears Boulevard was an average of 57 kilometers per hour, and northbound was 54 kilometers per hour. In 2017, it was a little bit faster at 59 kilometers per hour southbound and 57 kilometers per hour northbound. And the posted speed limit there is 50 kilometers an hour. And in the information I received today for April of 2022, it was actually down to 49 kilometers per hour was the 85th percentile. Now, what has changed significantly is the amount of traffic on Spears Boulevard. So in 2018, in the period of time that we had the speed spy set up, and it was from 7 in the morning to 8 p.m. at night, it was 589 vehicles southbound and 570 northbound. I don't believe the study that I got today, the information I got today, had them broken down southbound and northbound, but they were upwards of 3,000 vehicles, depending on the day and the time. So there's been a significant increase in the amount of traffic on Spears Boulevard, but the speed traveled on Spears Boulevard has actually gone down by about 8 kilometers an hour in the 85th percentile. Now, that leaves 15% of the population that's traveling above the 85th percentile. In 2018, because that's the latest speed spy information I have, there was 7 vehicles in that time that traveled between 15 and 20 kilometers over the speed limit. So that's 65 to 70 down that road, which is fast on Spears Boulevard. And there was 1 vehicle that was 21 kilometers an hour higher. And in 2017, it was actually significantly higher. There was 30 vehicles that were 15 to 20 kilometers an hour over the speed limit, and 8 vehicles that were 21 kilometers over the speed limit. So through the years, you can actually see that the speed is declining. It's just the amount of vehicles being traveled on Spears Boulevard has increased significantly. So it's a perceived issue. In all the information that we have, there is not a speeding problem on Spears Boulevard. That's the information that we can provide to you if you have any questions about that.
Council, any questions regarding the speeding? Councilor Pronner.
Thank you. Can you just, any ideas? You said it went down about 8 kilometers per hour on average. Any thoughts on why that happened?
It actually could be due to the fact that there's so much travel on Spears Boulevard, like, you know, if you're on the road and there's no one else traveling on the road with you, you may tend to go a little bit faster. But with the significant increase in vehicles on Spears, I think it's just slowed down because of the amount of traffic there is there. It's a narrow road with the vehicles that park on either side. Any of the narrowing of that and speed measure or speed calming devices that will potentially lower the speed limit that they're traveling. Anything that's made to look like it's a narrow road tends to calm the traffic. So I would say, as a best guess at this point, it's due to the amount of traffic on Spears that's slowed the speed down.
If I could just,
Yes,
one more, your worship. Any idea the data, I don't know if I'm on here or not, the data you have, any idea like, lots of concerns with residents, but sort of the three, and I have my own idea why this is Kildare, Spears and Amherst. They're basically, I would say, throughways to another spot. They're not necessarily destinations, but any thoughts on things you mentioned, traffic calming, any things that are, residents have said to me, I'm going to park my car out there until, all the time. And is there any, what are some things down the road that might be looked at from a police perspective?
I know we talk about sometimes lowering speed limits. Not sure that that's an answer here. We're probably still going to get the average of 50 kilometers an hour down that road. We discourage the use of stop signs in intersections because what's going to happen is, and this is information that can be backed up with data, is that people tend to speed up between the stop signs because of a perceived loss of time because they've had to slow down at the stop sign. They slow down and then they race to the next stop sign. So those are ideas that I wouldn't do. Whether you look at putting in speed bumps for a period of time there, or leaving them there. I know they have them on Bay Ridge by Holy Cross. But then there again, how often you travel down that road and you see people just motoring over the speed bumps too. So it's certainly something that the county has to look into. And we can sit on a board with them and provide the insight that we have. Our traffic management officer has that kind of information from areas like Deserano and other places that have instilled these speed calming devices that we would be able to give you information on.
Thank you.
Councillor Ennis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. The 85th percentile metric, is that standard sort of across Ontario, and does it change by different type of road or same on all types of roads?
It's the same. The percentile is what they look at, and that stays the same across on the road.
Thank you.
Council, any further questions on this meeting? Seeing none. Did you have anything else to share or?
Not in
Open it to
regards to
questions.
speeding. The only other request was thefts from motor vehicles was the topic that was brought up. And certainly the information that I would want to get out to the public is just how they can protect themselves from these things. Certainly locking your vehicle is a way of not becoming a victim of theft from motor vehicles. I won't say it doesn't happen, but quite often what it is, it's a person that's walking around, they're checking door handles. If the car is unlocked, that car is going to get injured. And anything that's inside that's valuable will be taken. So hiding valuables, taking them inside the residence, locking them in a vehicle where somebody can't see, and then locking the vehicle. Any security measures at your own residence, be it lighting, motion lighting, any sort of things like that. Another big thing that I think people try not to do is they don't want to call the police because they don't think it's worth our time, which is completely inaccurate. We can't focus our attention on areas that may be victimized from thefts from motor vehicles, or, people leave their garage doors open, things like that. We're not gonna focus our time if we don't know that it's going on. And quite often, because it wasn't a huge loss at that person's residence, they don't call us. Sometimes what ends up happening is we've stopped a motor vehicle and we find a bunch of stolen property in it, but now we can't return it, so we don't have a victim. Because that person that had their property stolen didn't report it to us. So it's super important, as menial as you may think it is to us, it's not. We need to have that information. So then we get our street crime unit involved, and our street crime unit or our regular patrol officers, quite often what we've asked them to do is when their numbers are high and they have more than enough people working, we'll ask the sergeant to put 2 people in plain clothes. They take our van, they take our plain cars, and they go out, and you wouldn't even know that they're officers because they're holding hands walking down the street, going out for a walk. But what they're actually doing is making sure that they're monitoring the areas that maybe we've had issues in. So things you don't always see us. When we do, the crimes don't generally happen when there's a cruiser around, so that's why we try and take other measures. But it is certainly important that it gets reported to us, because we can't look into it, we can't fix it if we don't know about
it. Thank you. Council, Councilor Prater.
Through you, your worship. Does the OPP, I know some years ago, when we used to get Kingston This Week delivered to our house, once a month, they publish a map and it had like dots with break-in enters and stuff like that. Does the OPP, I know the OPP keeps records, is that anything that's publicly accessible?
I'll find out if it's publicly accessible. I don't think we have ever put it out.
Okay.
We had a call or a council meeting up in Clinton that I wanted to get some information from, so I just sent it to our analyst that I have, and within a couple hours, he sent all that information back to us. So it's certainly something, if that's information we're able to provide to the community, we could do that for sure.
Thanks.
Council, any other questions? Thank you. And the always reporting. It's interesting that when I was on the Police Services Board many years ago, that was one of the big things they always kept saying then is always call it in, always make sure that it's reported as much detail as possible. And it helps with the statistics as well as you'd mentioned, returning valuables as well. Yeah.
And one of the things I should have mentioned is that our community safety officer, what we've asked her to do is to start following the Hammersmith Facebook page, or because quite often people will talk about it on there and all of a sudden there'll be 14 people that have reported. They haven't reported, but 14 people that go on there to say that, yeah, my vehicle was entered and something was stolen as well. So we've asked her to monitor those so that she can start reaching out to those people and encouraging them to report it to us. Because again, if we don't know, we can't go into that area and try and, focus our attention in a specific area.
Very good. But still, take the initiative and report. Don't wait. Don't put it on Facebook and wait for a call.
Absolutely.
That's not a sure thing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor.
Motion to receive the presentation with thanks.
So moved, seconded by Councilor Budrich. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor, please raise a hand. Motion is passed. That concludes the delegations and presentations with thanks. We have adoption of the minutes. Excuse me. Confirmation of the minutes of the Committee of the Whole budget for February 6th and 9th, 2023. We have them before us. Council, any noted errors or omissions in either one of them? Could I have a motion to accept the minutes as presented? Councilor Willis, so moved, seconded by Councilor Parks. Call the question. All in favor, please raise a hand. Motion is passed. Confirmation of the minutes of the fourth session, regular council, February 13th, 2023. We have them before us. Any errors or omissions noted? Seeing none, can we have a motion to approve? Councillor Budrick, so moved, seconded by Councillor Ennis. Call the question. All those in favor, there's a hand. Motion has passed. Office of the Chief Administrative Officer. We have a bylaw. And there's new CAO. Welcome.
Good evening, your worship, members of council. How are you? I'm very happy to be here. I also just, this is a verbal report that council requested estimating the time frame. This is from last council meeting for a report of possible funding options for agreement and proposals for the initiation of a loyalist physician recruitment program. This came from a resolution and a deputation that council heard last council meeting. Based on discussion with staff, it's proposed that sort of the following steps are required in order to prepare this report. Meeting with the family health team to fully understand their request and the rollout of the program that they're asking for. Reviewing the needs of other physician and nurse practitioner models within loyalists. And review possible partnerships with other agencies and levels of government just to understand if there's any possibilities for funding or for partnerships on physician recruitment incentive programs with them. And finally, discussing the treasurer, the budget implications and funding options for council's consideration. Based on doing a bit of this late work, staff are committed to bringing a report back to committee of the whole on April 3rd. Sort of as quickly as we can bring it. So that council can consider something. We understand that there's some urgency to get this done. Is taking these positions to come to Amherst U. If we can get this incentive program instituted soon enough for them, and that there may be not very much, I guess, ask for the first year. That this may roll out and get more significant as the time goes on. But we wanted to make sure we kind of reviewed all of the permutations of such a program to make sure we can give council a fulsome report, but we acknowledge that this perhaps can go out in phases. Council talked a little bit about like getting something quickly and then maybe something more long-term. So we'll propose something for council on April 3rd.
Thank you. Have a motion, Deputy Mayor.
Purchase by move to adopt bylaw 2023-018, a bylaw to appoint the chief administrative officer and repeal bylaw 2019-042.
So moved, seconded by Councillor Broderick. Any comments? Mover?
Only just to welcome our new CAO, Rebecca Murphy. We're very pleased that she's joined us, and as indicated by her brief deputation there, she's certainly hit the ground running and has had to catch up with a lot in the past week.
Seconder, any comments?
Ditto.
Okay. Anyone else? Here I am without my mic on. Yes, I would just reiterate, welcome to Rebecca. We're excited to have our new CAO in place, and it's been a bit of a whirlwind for the first week, but the dust will settle and we'll carry on. And her plate is very full, and met with her earlier today, and I think our plates are even a little fuller now, maybe with some more things to deal with, but that's great. We'll work through them all. So with that, we have a mover and seconder. I'll call a question. All those in favor, please raise a hand. Motion is carried. Corporate Services, Renewable Energy Fund, Ward 1, Subcommittee 2023, grant application intake. Director, do you have anything to share or just here for answer questions?
Nothing further to share, Your Worship.
Okay. And I'm just scrolling down to open it. So we have a report before us. Any questions from council to staff before we take a motion? Seeing none. We have the recommendations. Do we have a motion? Councillor Willis.
I move that the Corporate Services Department be received and the subcommittee draft minutes and recommendations be received as noted, and the council approve the applications from the Amherst Island Agricultural Society Community Grant application for $5,000, Amherst Island Community Alliance Community Grant application for $1,500, and the Amherst Island Men's Society Community Grant application for $2,500.
So moved. Do we have a seconder? Do we have a seconder for the motion? Deputy Mayor, mover, any comments?
No, none of this time.
Seconder? Anyone else? Councillor Prater.
Through you, your worship, if I could just ask staff, did they, I think I've got the right report here. The one group didn't report last year's annual documents. Did they do that? If I got this mixed up with somebody else.
Through you, your worship, I believe that is on the next report.
So the next report, sorry.
No.
That was this one. Councillor Woodard wasn't at the meeting this week, or am I ahead of my game here?
No, sorry, through your worship, you're correct. I apologize. That's my
Okay,
mistake.
no.
Brandy can answer your question.
Okay,
Through the mayor to Council Project. So the Amherst Island Men's Society received a grant in 2022. They did receive an extension for the grant. So technically speaking, they haven't completed their project, so the report wouldn't be due until they finish their project.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions from council? Or comments? Seeing none, I'll call a question. All those in favor, please raise a hand. Motion is passed. Renewable Energy Fund Grant Review, Ward 2-3 Subcommittee. Any further information from the director on this one, or just for questioning?
I think through your worship.
You. Any questions for the director before we take a motion? Councillor Willis.
Through you, your worship, there is a note that that there's a deferral of the Amherst Island Rodeo application until tomorrow at 3. What was the reason for that deferral, or what is the outstanding information from them?
Through your worship, so my understanding was it was deferred so that the committee members could spend a little bit more time considering the application.
Councillor Ennis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just when a community organization comes to staff with a proposal, what does the policy say, or what are they told in practice about which subcommittee, which ward one they apply to, whether Ward 1 or Ward 2 and 3?
Through your worship, that's an interesting question. I believe it's generally based on the location of the undertaking. Getting a nod from the deputy clerk. So this proposal is for something that's proposed to be located in the back community, and so that's why it was heard by the Ward 2 and 3 subcommittee.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Councillor Pradrick.
Through your worship, and I don't know who this question will be directed to, but since this has been sent back for a further evaluation that's due 28th by 3 o'clock, would I be predisposing a position by asking some questions now, or should we be waiting till that report comes back?
I think it would be better to wait until the report comes back, and then all the
questions and
everything, all the information should be on it. Anyone else have any further questions? Seeing none. We have the report with the recommendation. Do we have a motion? Deputy Mayor.
I move to receive the report and adopt the recommendations.
So moved. Do we have a seconder? Counselor Ennis. Mover, any comments? Seconder? Anyone else? Seeing none, call the question. All those in favor, please raise a hand. Motion is passed. Reuse of Willie Pratt Sports Field. Welcome, Director. Do you have any further information to share or just here to?
Just here for questions.
Council, any questions for staff before we entertain a motion? Councilor Prodder.
I have a comment more than a question, Your Worship. I think this is a good use of the community field. I was president of minor hockey when this young fellow lost his life, and I know that for a group of 18-year-olds who are now probably 22, 23, that was traumatic. And the fact that they've given $52,000 to a group that involved with mental health of youth. We can all appreciate some of us having kids around that age bracket, how important it is. And I think this is a great use of community assets. And I would encourage the group that's going through with this as much as we can. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for staff prior to a motion? Seeing none. Councilor Boudreau.
Motion to adopt recommendation number 1.
Number 1 to approve. So moved, seconded by Councilor Prodder. Any comments from the mover?
Through you, sir. I think Councilor Prodder has said it very well. It's a great community group that is putting a lot of money back into our community than just the small amount that we're letting them have.
Thank you. Seconder.
No.
Council. Any comments from the remaining? Seeing none, call the question. All those in favor, please raise a hand. Motion is passed. Next up is the award of RFP 2022-33 for the Odessa Water Tool. Welcome. Is there any further information? Just for questions? Any questions for staff prior to a motion? Seeing none, we have the recommendation. Do we have a motion? Deputy Mayor.
Motion to receive the report and adopt recommendations 1 and 2.
So moved. Seconded by Councilor Parks. Mover, any comments? Seconder? Anyone else? Call the question. All those in favor, please raise a hand. Motion is passed. Thank you. Notice of motion or direct motion. We'll start with, is there anyone that wishes to make a notice of motion? Councilor Parks.
Thank you, Your Worship. Whereas during attendance at the Roma conference in Toronto, the challenges and impacts of short-term accommodations on neighborhoods, communities, and municipalities was addressed. And whereas based on other municipalities' experiences with the negative impacts on their communities, neighborhoods, and municipalities, along with the increasing commitment required by staff to manage these short-term accommodations, I request this be considered as a notice of motion to bring a staff report back.
Thank you. Can you provide that to staff for the records?
Yes.
Thank you. So that'll be coming back at the next council meeting as a notice of motion. Any other notices of motion? Seeing none, any direct motion? Seeing none. Consent agenda. For the purpose of convenience and for expediting meetings, matters of business that are of repetitive and routine nature are included in the consent agenda. and all such matters of business contained in the consent agenda are voted on collectively. A particular matter of business may be singled out from the consent agenda for debate or for a separate vote upon the request of any council. In the case of a separate vote, the excluded matter of business is severed from the consent agenda. Each and every matter of business contained in the consent agenda is recorded separately in the minutes of the meeting. Do we have any items we would like to extract? Seeing none. Do we have a motion? Councillor Boudreaux. So moved. Seconded by Councillor Price. Any comments from the mover, seconder? Other members? Councillor Prater.
Just a comment on 21-1, the drinking water system. I was very impressed with what I read, given the fact there was only 2 incidents last year, and staff have provided me sort of some layman's terms, what it all meant. And the one thing I'm pleased to hear that they're looking at the bylaw so that the one incident that happened at Ernstown Secondary in that area, that in the future there might be something in the bylaw to say a township has to clean up, do something that we can ask for financial reimbursement. And I think that's important, but again, having toured the water plants, very impressed by what I saw and what I read.
Thank you. Anyone else have comment? Seeing none, we'll call the question. All those in favor, raise a hand. Motion is passed. Updates from members appointed to county council, committees, and local boards. Any updates or information to bring forward? Councillor Prater.
Just let me find my Cataraqui Conservation Authority notes here. Trust me, there's somewhere. We had a meeting of the Source Protection Agency and also a meeting of the Full Authority Board of the Cataraqui Conservation Area. And just a couple of highlights talking about they dealt with 372 plan applications, 443 permit applications, just to give people an idea of stuff like that. The one thing that came out, and I'll just leave this as a statement, that the Loyalists timeline was 30 days and most other towns, cities and townships was under 20 in terms of turnaround time. And just wondering if we could look at that down the road. And again, Loyalist seems to in their end of the things have approving more smaller and projects, and they seem to have a tighter timeline. That's it.
Thank you. Any other member of council have information to bring forward? Seeing none. Members' privilege. Anything to come forward under members' privilege? Seeing none. Oh, Councillor Prater.
Got another list here, sorry, Your Worship. I'm gonna go off the top of my head. I want to congratulate on behalf of the township, the U11 Loyalist Jets, who ran the table and were 24-0. And if they can win 4 more games, go to the Ontario Finals. Thank OPG, the Lansing Library, and Emergency Services or Loyalists for Family Day for what they did. One more. Well, I guess we might have to wait next time. Oh, 2 more. I just thank all the people who were involved in the removal of the vehicle from the recent accident on County Road 6 this week. I know it took quite a while. And I also want to acknowledge Hayden Underhill. And many of you might remember a year ago about this time, he was seriously injured in a car accident, well on his way to recovery, and he's accepted a golf scholarship at the University of Wisconsin at Parkside starting in the fall. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have any items to bring forward? Seeing none. Confirmatory bylaw. Deputy Mayor. So moved,
Yes, sir.
seconded by Counselor Boudreaux. All those in favor, please raise a hand. Motion is passed. Upcoming meetings. March sixth, Committee of Adjustment and Committee of the Whole. 13th, regular council, 27th, regular council, both at 7 p.m. Motion to adjourn. Counselor Broderick, seconded by Counselor Parks. All in favor, please raise a hand. Motion is passed. Thank you. We are adjourned.